Disaster housing is very similar to the computer world, where you have hardware, software, and users. In disaster housing, the hardware is the housing unit itself. What we're sitting in right now, we're actually in one of the alternative units. So anything that we put a disaster victim into has to have certain criteria and has to meet certain standards. The software is the regulatory information, such as the building codes and the permits and the rules and regulations that establish where disaster housing could be placed, how units are manufactured. And of course, one of the main components is the actual user, is the displaced household or the disaster victims. And each one of these three major areas introduce a whole subset of very complex and complicated issues, and we have to look at all three areas to develop a comprehensive disaster housing strategy. As I said, there's three major components of it, and we have reached out to organizations like the National Institute of Building Sciences. The National Institute has access to a vast network of experts in various fields, such as the building industry, community planning, code development and code compliance, even community planners and sociologists. So National Institute of Building Sciences, or NIBS, has been a very active partner. We've actually also engaged the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. HUD has a lot of experience in any type of housing, whereas FEMA focuses on disaster housing. So HUD has been a very active partner with us. We've also gotten some help from academic or research type institutions. And I think most significantly, we've reached out and worked very aggressively with the private sector, as I said. We've probably worked with over 200 potential providers of disaster housing units. We've worked very closely with our disaster housing operations people, for example, in developing the standards and specifications for FEMA-built disaster housing units. So our research efforts have led us to suggest various types of materials and construction techniques that are used in building units of this nature. We also work very closely with other entities such as the National Disaster Housing Task Force and pretty much anyone else that has anything to do with disaster housing in the federal government. Our goal is to try to increase the range of housing options that we can make available for disaster victims. Rather than just have a traditional type of manufactured home or park model or travel trailer, we hope to provide an array of options that can be used in various types of different housing conditions or different disaster conditions, so that a decision maker out in the field as a responder can evaluate the conditions in the field, and then we may be able to provide a range of different types of units. So in housing operations in the future, rather than just seeing all manufactured homes or all park models, you're very likely to see various types of housing units that are placed out there.